Good morning, folks. Ari here from Direct Auto Outlet in Fair Oaks, California. This is going to be a prerequisite video, and you may ask, prerequisite to what? This will be a prerequisite to being able to view this vehicle. Folks, this is a 1992 Mercedes-Benz 400e equipped with a 4.2-liter V8 engine, the little brother to the 500e. This vehicle has been advertised, and in the description I have put that this vehicle has several blemishes, imperfections, cracks, rips, dings, and items that have excessive wear and tear on it. Everyone that's called me on this vehicle, I've emphasized that, hey, you know, pictures don't always paint an accurate description of this car. This vehicle has bird droppings on the hood and the roof that have been left on too long, that have left imprints into the paint. There's door dings, there's cracks on the wood trim on the interior. The tires on it are old. The wheels on it are from the next generation E-Class. This is not a cherry car. This is not a cream puff. This is not a car that you would find on bringatrailer.com that would bring $20,000. Yet, having done that, I still experience folks that practice wishful thinking, come and take a look at the car and oftentimes spend a couple of hours looking at the car and just can't get themselves to pull the trigger. Unfortunately, folks, I don't have the time or resources to invest that kind of time into each interaction. We're a struggling small business. We have limited staff, limited resources, and I just want to paint the most accurate picture of this vehicle for everyone to see and watch and experience firsthand through the video camera lens, and see if this is something that would work for you before coming out. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. First and foremost, I do want to point out that the top surface of the front bumper does show a little bit of checking and does have a scrape right over there. You can see tons of rock chips in the front of the vehicle, as well as on the hood in the front of the vehicle. There's a small crack on the corner front of the bumper, and then this tow hook cover is also missing, and you can see multiple scratches on the bottom of the bumper as well. If you look really closely on the hood, you'll see areas that you'll see what appear to either be touch-up paint, which it would be touch-up because there are several areas of touch-up paint as well, but there are also a lot of areas that are imprints of former bird droppings that have not been cleaned up in a timely fashion. That's eaten into the clear coat of the vehicle. There is cracking on the plastics around the headlight lens. These tires are old. I believe it would be a good idea to replace them, even though the tread on them are good. There's not any excessive dry rot on it, but I would recommend replacing them. Speaking of tires and wheels, these are oversized tires and wheels. They are bigger than the stock size. And the front of this vehicle does look like it may have been lowered. Looking at the spring itself, I don't see any evidence of lowering. It looks like it's stock. So it may be that the shocks in the front, due to them just being old, have probably collapsed a few inches and allow the front of the vehicle to just be lowered by that much. So either the vehicle has been lowered in the front, or it can use some shocks. The ride quality of the car is very good, so I'll leave that to the next person to decide. Driver's side rear door has a ding right over there, as you can see through the reflection of the ambulance in the background. There are light evidence of small scratches. Side view mirrors do have this plastic molding over there, rubber molding that is deteriorated and is in need of replacement. You do see the same evidence of bird droppings on the roof as well. This, folks, is what we call in the industry a 10-footer. What a 10-footer means is when you step back 10 feet away from the car, it looks brilliant. But when you look at it up close, you can see blemishes. Folks, this is a 30-year-old car. I hate to cite my own credentials. I believe that any conversation or debate is lost when you have to cite your own credentials. But in this case, just because I want you to believe me, because for some reason you don't seem to believe me over the phone, this is a daily driver quality vehicle. This is a vehicle that is not in showroom condition, but will get you compliments if you take it out to your local Cars and Coffee. This vehicle is 30 years old, and for a 30-year-old vehicle, it actually does present pretty nicely. but it's not a showroom condition car. The largest blemish, in my opinion, on the vehicle is this ding right on the trunk lid of the vehicle. It's a good sized ding. It looks like something just dropped on the trunk lid and put a little imprint and a chip. That chip has been touched up. Folks, I am a Mercedes-Benz collector. I have 46 of these in storage, not of this specific vehicle, but 46 Mercedes-Benz ranging from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and a couple in the early 2000s. I am a big fan. This would not make it to my collection. Not to say that this has too much reconditioning required to make it to my collection. Most of the vehicles in my collection of the same era have only maybe 20, 30, or 40,000 miles. And believe it or not, I have done all of the same reconditioning that this vehicle requires on all of those. But at least I can say with those, the value of the vehicle justifies the expense that you would incur to make the vehicle perfect. This vehicle's value does not justify you putting $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $10,000 or in excess of $10,000 to make this vehicle perfect. This vehicle should be enjoyed just the way it is. If you're an enthusiast and you're looking for a collector quality car, folks, this is not that car. And the price point of this car does not reflect that car. Now let's go ahead and jump inside the interior and take a look. At first glance, you'll see that the leather on the inside is actually in pretty good condition. There is a little bit of bleaching and fading on the wood on the interior of the vehicle, but on the surfaces that get the most sunlight, which in these are the console wood right around the shifter, you do see cracks. I have repaired this panel and the above panel on almost every W124 that I've gotten in the past for myself. Again, even ones with as little as 20 or 30,000 miles on them. This vehicle also comes equipped with a removable face Kenwood radio. This radio unit does not work. However, fortunately, I can say the rewire on this radio has been done already, because that would have been required in order to be able to install an aftermarket unit from having a stock one. The rewires on these are quite cumbersome, and going from stock to aftermarket does cost several hundreds of dollars. But once you already have an aftermarket unit in there, getting another aftermarket unit in there is as simple as just pulling it out and replacing it. As you see, the unit does have power going to it, which is why the face flipped forward, exposing the CD slot. However, it's not turning on, so I believe it's got an internal failure on that radio. Furthermore, you'll see that the center console lid has excessive wear on the leather right over there, and the piping has some areas missing. There should be an accordion style wood that goes along the top of this that is also missing. This can be sourced used, and you can get one from eBay. I don't know what it would cost. The last one I bought was several years ago. I paid, I believe, $64 or $65 for it. And these are held in by just 2 screws on the front interior of the unit. Really easy to take out and replace. Headliner on the vehicle is okay, but there are some evidence of separation. Maybe a little bit of drooping, as you can see right around the rear dome light, and then just a little bit of wrinkling along the edge of the top on both sides. The sunroof does work for pop-up and slide forward functions. All the windows work. The vacuum lock system works. The heat works. The air conditioning works. The manual mirror adjustment on the driver's side is broken, so rather than manually adjusting it from the inside of the vehicle, you're going to be manually adjusting it from the outside of the vehicle. The power adjustment for the passenger side is with the switch right over here, and that does work properly. Dashboard has no cracks. The vehicle has its original windshield. The power seat adjustments also work. Stepping into the rear of the vehicle, it is in fairly good condition. There are some slight signs of creases or scratches in the leather, but for the most part, it's in really good shape. Here you can see the imprint of all the people who have looked at this vehicle for sometimes hours on end and have not purchased it. You can see a little bit of separation there, and again, a little bit of drooping on the headliner in the rear. Imperfections are present on the finish and fit of this vehicle throughout the vehicle if you look at it close enough. The rear bumper has been repainted. This vehicle has been involved in 2 accidents, none of which have resulted in any branding of the title. One was a rear end accident, which looks like it only affected the bumper. The bumper was repainted. And a second was a side collision on the driver's side quarter panel. Flipping over on the passenger side, there are a couple small dings right below the tail light, as you can see right over here. I actually owned this car for several weeks and drove it several times before I ever even noticed this, so it's not really that noticeable. As soon as you step away a few feet, you don't really notice it unless you already knew that it was there. Taking a look at the rear on the passenger side, looks pretty good. Center armrest also does come down and does function properly as well. Front passenger compartment is also very clean. The head power headrest button right here is missing its cap. However, as you can see, it does function. It just doesn't have the little cap that would go on top of there. This year, no glove box. You got an airbag instead of the glove box. There are 4 holes here, probably for an old school cell phone that was hardwired and installed in the vehicle. Again, heat and AC do work, but every once in a while, especially if you haven't driven the car for a long time and you have the fan speed on low, you hear a little bit of a squeak coming from the fan motor that goes away after a few seconds. The glass in the front does not have any major chips. It has a few minor stars in the window, one of which they're right there and one right there, none of which have turned into any cracks of any sort. The engine is very strong on this vehicle, transmission is strong, and it's a great performing car. This would be a car that's an absolute pleasure to drive, has lots of power, has great performance. I would call this the poor man's 500e. Engine compartment's in good shape. I don't see any major leaks, but I'm sure that there's minor seepage here and there. We have replaced the serpentine belt and the tensioner because they looked old. I didn't want it to give out on the next person. It does run the water pump, and the car would overheat immediately if that serpentine belt were to rip and your water pump were to stop pumping. Engine sounds great. It runs smooth. The vehicle went through smog with no issues whatsoever. And the vehicle is a great performing vehicle. Folks, again, this is a daily driver quality vehicle. I know everybody hopes to be the one that stumbles upon a rare find, something that was owned by a senior citizen that's had it since the late 90s, that doesn't really know the value of what they have, that's given it away for nothing, and you hope to put it on Bring a Trailer and make a killing on it. Folks, this is not that car. I have over 15 years experience being a dealer, and I've been a Mercedes-Benz collector for far more years than I've actually been a dealer. So I can tell you firsthand, this car is not a cream puff. It's a nice daily driver quality vehicle. I appreciate you taking your time and looking at it, and if that has turned you off from the vehicle and has caused you not to want to come see it in person, then I have achieved my goal here. I purchased this vehicle with the intentions of giving this car a second chance on life, rather than letting it deteriorate and just fall to pieces. I believe that these cars are special, especially in this configuration with the V8, and I hope that this car goes to a good family, somebody that has reasonable, down-to-earth expectations, and somebody that'll take care of it and love it. And again, I believe that, especially with this rare color combination, not a lot of them came in, and this engine configuration, that whoever buys it will enjoy it for a long, long time. Folks, thank you for taking the time to look at this video. If you have any questions, you can reach me directly down here at the lot at any time at area code 916-765-7575. You can reach us 24/7, 365 days a year on our website, which is www.directautooutlet.com. If you're wondering what these guys are, they are amplifiers. Looks like the vehicle previously had a fancy sound system in there. That could mean one of two things. Either some schmuck got a hold of it, put in some subwoofers, and didn't take good care of the car, or perhaps somebody that valued their stereo and loved music got a hold of it. In this case, I think it is the latter. The owner of the vehicle that owned this vehicle before we acquired it has had this vehicle since 1997. If you think about it, in 1997 this vehicle was 5 years old and had a lot of value. No schmuck could afford this vehicle in 1997, where it cost probably only 20 to 25% less than its original MSRP. So again, my guess would be it's somebody that loved music and wanted to have a nice sound system in the vehicle. Again, folks, without further ado, we'll go ahead and end the video. Please give me a call if you have any questions or comments. We hope to see and work and interact with any interested party in the near future. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Take care now. Bye-bye.